Hey everybody, welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our bigger show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can buy this week. They come out Wednesday to your local comic book store or infinityflux.net, where you can go right now and order these books while supplies last. That way you don't have to worry about them selling out on Wednesday. You'll already have your name on them. So this is a really cool week of books. There's a lot of heavy hitters, especially from DC.
It was a big DC week.
It was a big DC week. They kind of trade off week to week, and this one is definitely the pendulum swings a little bit more in DC with some of their heaviest hitters. But let's get into it because I'm excited about this first one.
Yeah, we are going to start with Superman number 28. This is my pick of the week. This thing is awesome, from Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora. And I first read this issue back at the end of June, and then I read it twice more over the weekend because it's just that good, and I just wanted to absorb as much of it as I can. So this may be one of the best single issues of Superman that I've read in a while. And it's very timely that it's coming out just a few days after we learn about the DCKO event. Because this really goes a long way to start planting those beginning seeds for that event, to the point where I think that they maybe timed it that way to where, like, oh, Superman's coming out next week. Let's go ahead and start talking about this new event that we have coming up in October. And it's really cool. So it starts with Superman visiting Smallville to get the Legion ring that he had when he was young, a young Superboy running around doing adventures with the Legion of Superheroes. And he tells his mom that he's been worried about the Legion ever since he fought Validus in the Summer of Superman special, because Validus is supposed to be one of the Legion's strongest villains. But when Superman was fighting him, it seemed like Validus was scared and running away from something. And he's like, well, what could scare a big, strong, scary guy like that? I'm worried about the Legion. So he gets the ring. He goes out to the special tree, and he contacts the Legion the same way that he used to do back when he was Superboy. And Saturn Girl does respond. She does show up. However, if you can see on the cover, it may not be the version of Saturn Girl that he remembers. And I'm trying to think, like, what else I can say. Now, I do have a note. All that was in the first 8 pages. And I don't want to tell you anything else that happens, because there are at least 2 different moments in this where I gasped audibly. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. So it's just, it's crazy. It's huge. I will tell you that there are these other twisted versions of Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy in here as well. You can see them on the cover. So Superman also has confrontations with them as well. But you're going to have to read it for yourself to see what that amounts to. But oh my gosh, like, this thing is just, it's so good. The artwork is so great. There's some really cool action. Superman really cuts loose in a couple of spots. And and then of course, I'm obviously not going to tell you what the ending is, but people will be talking about the ending.
Yeah.
People will be talking about that last page right there.
I'm just refreshing myself because I did read it like you, like, quite a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that this is definitely, now that we know about the event in October, is like, oh, I see how all of this is from this and the Justice League issue we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
This dark side energy, all of that is really going to be cool when we see how that comes into being.
Yeah, for sure. So just a really big, awesome issue of Superman. It really gets me pumped to keep reading more. And this thing has ties and references to things going all the way back to the All-In special, to the Summer of Superman special, things that happened in the Superwoman story arc, things that happened during the We Are Yesterday crossover. Like, you can tell that they have been planning this for a long time, and they have been planting these little seeds along the way, and that tree is starting to sprout now. And I can't wait for October, because I think that's going to be an awesome story. So,
and I do feel like even if you haven't been reading Superman, you could jump in with this issue. This is the part 1 of a story.
Yeah, it's the beginning of a new story arc. Yeah.
And you could go back and find some stuff you missed and everything, but for the most part, I think this is a fun intro, because it kind of, the previous stories are kind of wrapped up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I recommend picking this one up. I think more people should be reading Superman It's, as we say every time we talk about it, maybe the best book on the stands.
I'm pretty sure it's my favorite of any book from any publisher on the stands. I'm pretty sure Superman's my favorite.
Yeah, so don't miss out on Superman because it is fantastic, and you'll be happy you did when the big event DCKO happens
Yeah.
in October.
Yeah, for sure. So this is our A cover right here, and we got some cool variants. This is the Nathan Zerdy variant with the scary version of Saturn Girl on there. This is the Tua Lote. I guess that's Lois, but she doesn't, have her powers anymore,
Yeah.
at least for now. I hope this is the one that I pre-ordered. This is the foil version of the A cover, which looks so good.
And they're doing spot foil now, which is the thing Marvel have been doing.
Yeah.
DC was just doing the all over foil, but this is a spot foil cover.
So it's just the background is foil.
So I hope we start seeing more of those from DC.
Yep. And then this is the 1 in 25 Salvador variant that we're selling for $10.
That does not happen.
This does not happen, right? But it's so good.
That looks like another storyline.
Yeah.
Well, went from Superman to Batman.
Mhm.
This is Batman issue 161, and this is what, part 4?
Part 4, yeah.
Of Hush 2 by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee. This is, we're slowly peeling back this onion on this story about some of the craziness that's going on, because like we mentioned before, this feels a little bit different from the Batman we've been getting previously. It almost feels like this could have taken place closer to the original Hush, with the way characters act and maybe some of the character progression. But so it's interesting in this because the last one we were like, why did Damian suddenly show up with Bane? We do learn at least in a little bit of an explanation.
A little.
Yeah. Like, at least it's acknowledged why they're together. But he does say that he broke Bane out of Blackgate, and they're all there to take on Hush, who is confronting Batman in this building, while Joker is confronting Jason and Dick at another place. Joker's got 2 guns pointing at him, and Jason Todd is very adamant on killing the Joker. Like, that's kind of one of the weird things that's happened. It's like,
I think we all are at this point, right?
Yeah, and Jason has definitely, in this, reverted back to a little bit closer to his, Red Hood, like his premiere as the character. He feels a little bit more villainous in this, even though he's with Nightwing. It's not a spoiler to say that Hush does get away, because there's still more parts to this story. But what this issue turns into is Batman really starting to question what we've been questioning for a long time, is by not killing the Joker, is the blood on Joker's hands actually also on Batman's? And he is a little bit torn on this. He does talk to we see a scene with Batgirl and Commissioner Gordon where they're kind of talking about the same thing, and Gordon seems to understand it a little bit better. He has some flashbacks to those moments where Batman could have done something but he didn't, or Gordon would remind Batman it goes against your character to kill Joker. But Barbara, of course, has been through quite a bit of trauma with Joker. They bring up, her spine and her recovery and all of that. And I feel like Barbara at this point is also like, it would be better for everybody if Joker was no longer around.
I feel like at this point, even Superman's like, hey, Batman, can you just take care of that guy so that you save yourself some trouble,
And I guess that's that's always been a point of Batman, is Batman doesn't kill, and that's, a key part of his character. He doesn't use guns, he doesn't kill. But it's almost like this book is making a really hard argument why he should have.
Right.
And Batman's response isn't great on why he hasn't. So much so that it looks like the majority of the Bat family is kind of against Batman at this time. I don't love the Batman against his kids or his
Well, and we had that same thing not too long ago in the Gotham War.
Yeah.
We sort of had that just a year or two ago.
Kind of a split ideology
Yeah.
on how to do things. But I am interested to see where this goes because it definitely leaves off with like, Batman is definitely on the outs with everyone. So we'll have to see. This is, Jim Lee's art is great in this. There's a great double page spread with Batman and Batgirl.
One thing I'll say is a good chunk of the book is actually what you see here on the cover. Like this does happen,
And it's really cool because Batman does talk about how Barbara chose a different way to fight. Batman, like with Dick and stuff, was like, oh, I trained him. But when it came to Barbara as Batgirl, she's like, no, I want to do my own training. And so he's a little, she operates a little bit different than he does. And that's really cool to see. But if you're enjoying this series, you'll enjoy this issue. I'm still kind of on the fence. I feel like even after 4 issues, I still need to see more to understand what the bigger picture is. There's still also weird stuff like, why does the Riddler look like what he does in here? And what
is he even doing there?
What is he even doing there? We get a little bit of the other characters in here. The Silence.
Yeah, but he's barely in it.
He's barely in it. So there's still other elements that aren't really addressed in this issue, but we'll see going forward. What is this 6 parts?
Well, it's 6 parts, but then another 6 parts next year.
Right.
That we can't say too much about how that's going to get released, but yeah, it's going to be a 12-issue thing. But this is part 4. We're going to get part 5 next month, part 6 in September, and then nothing else until sometime in 2026.
So I'll be really interested to see how they wrap up these 6 issues because it feels like we're still kind of far away from any kind of resolution in this. But that is Batman 161. That is your A cover by Jim Lee. We've got a Lionel Francis U cover. And for this to be Hush isn't in it a ton.
No.
We've got this, I believe this is the connecting variant. This is the Del Auto cover. We've got the Frank Cho cover. We've got a George Perez cover. This one would have been great spot foil if it was like that one, like the characters weren't foil. But this is the foil cover of the Jim Lee cover. We've got this Jimenez Superman variant. Superman does not appear in this issue, but it's a very nice movie cover. And then we've got some incentives. We've got the 1 in 25 Clay Man cover. It says the Man Boys, because this is by Clay Man and Seth Man. We're selling for $12.99. That one's really cool. And Clay Man's going to be doing the next issue of Absolute Batman, so I'm very excited about that. And then we have a 1 in 50. This is the Steve Scrose variant. We're selling for $19.99.
All right, well, sticking with DC, we told you it was a big DC week. We've got New History of the DC Universe #2. This is written by Mark Waid, and the art in this one is from Brad Walker and Michael Allred. So this issue spans the period of time from when Superman arrived on Earth to the end of Crisis on Infinite Earth. So that's you get all that good Silver and Bronze Age stuff in there all the way to the mid 80s. And where this first issue covered the literal beginning of the universe and contained a lot of things that maybe some readers didn't know because it was some deep cuts. This issue covers all of the most well-known heroes. You get Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman. You get the Teen Titans, the Doom Patrol, all the villains that are associated with them, the Atom, and everybody, right? So
and it kind of breaks it down to almost like waves of heroes came in. Yeah. So you have the wave with more of the supernatural characters and that kind of stuff, which I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it does, it is a history of the DC Universe, so it does present things in chronological order, but it feels a little bit less like a timeline of events like the first issue did, and more like a who's who book, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not a knock against it, it's just the nature of the beast, because they all just sort of showed up, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like this one event led into this event. No, this is more about these heroes appearing on the scene. So still very good, still a very good a good history. Um, and a lot of it will be familiar to longtime DC fans, but there are one or two things in here that have been inserted into the history of the DC universe that didn't originally play out that way. So I think that's pretty interesting. I do kind of wonder what the reaction's going to be to that.
This is the Justice League part.
Yeah, a little before that.
Okay.
Yeah, a little before that. But so it's not a big deal. It does not change the course of the DC universe one way or the other. It's not a big deal. But, there's one part in it, I was like, wait a minute, that didn't originally happen, but it did happen later, but now you're making it happen earlier. So
it's like they don't bring in anything that didn't, it doesn't exist in any form. It's just like they're taking a little bit from this wave of stories and then a little bit from this one and mingling them all together.
Yeah. So just like the first issue, every page in here is one big splash page with the exception of a couple of double page spreads. But it's kind of the same deal as the first issue where you get these nice collages. There's no word balloons. There's no spoken dialogue. It's all being narrated by Barry Allen.
The art is great in this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
The switch between Brad Walker and Mike Allred is like they have very different styles, but what they, I guess, were kind of assigned to do really fits their styles.
Yeah, absolutely. So, even though it feels, and maybe it's just me. Well, you said you too that it did kind of feel like a Who's Who book,
right? It did, but it did still have a flow to it rather than like the old Who's Who. It's a character and then just a
it's not like that. Yeah,
no, like the description on a character will literally be like one paragraph,
right?
And it does have like Aquaman was introduced, and then later it has when Black Manta killed his son.
Yeah.
And so you do get like set up and then like here's something that happened to them later on, or Batman getting set up and then all the stuff with Talia and Rachel Gould and all of that does happen later. So it does still have that timeline of they start here and then this happens, but it is more, I guess, spotlights on characters rather than locations and times.
Yeah. And in the back, just like the first issue, it does have that nice, almost like a bibliography that lays everything out in order and gives you actual issue numbers that they pull these things from. I didn't look at that part as much in this as I did the first issue, but that's a great resource too if you want to know things like, oh, that happened in issue whatever. I'm going to go read that.
I'm going to really nerd out when this comes out in a collected edition, and I'm going to be reading every single one of those like blurbs and being like, oh, when did I want to read that story and going back and finding that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the single issues are great, but I am really looking forward to this being in a collected edition. I hope they do a nice big oversized hardcover because it's going to be a really nice reference guide.
4 issues?
4 issues, yeah. I mean, they're still doing a great job, and the next issue is going to be like sort of like the 90s stuff, Death of Superman, Nightfall.
I can't wait for that
Reign of the Superman, all that stuff.
And I'm really interested when it's going to start getting in there, because I feel like maybe some of the stuff that when New 52 happened or Rebirth or all of that, they were a little bit more hazy on what did happen, what didn't.
Right.
So I want to see when they get into Death of Superman and then, going all the way up to like Blackest Night and stuff. It's like, how do they categorize when all of this happened? But yeah, we say we can't wait for the, hardcover or however it's going to be. I'm still buying this issue by issue.
Oh, same.
Because it is, this is a longer read, but because I feel like I'm like downloading more information while I'm reading it.
Yeah, I'm still I'm still buying this in single issues too, because I can't decide between all these awesome A covers right here and all of the awesome Dan Mora covers. So I've been buying both. I bought both of those for the first one. I'm doing it for the second one because I can't pick between those two. So there is the Dan Mora Batman cover,
which I got.
Yep, this is the Frank Cho Black Canary variant that also looks great,
which I got.
This is the
Koblish.
Yeah, the Koblish, and just like the first one, this is a wraparound. Look at all those characters.
Did you see him put them side by side? He made a post and put all of them, and it will like burn your eyes because it's so much going
awesome.
on.
I gotta find that.
But yeah, it's really cool.
Really cool stuff there. We have a really nice foil, very nice homage to Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Now I felt like I want to get that because I bought all the foil facsimiles on Crisis. And I'm like, oh, that would look really good just for those.
Yep. And then this is the 1 in 25. Oh, the Walt Simonson. I should have known that. Yeah, the Walt Simonson cover that we're selling for $19.99. That looks great.
We'll have to discuss the changes in it because I noticed some, but
Yeah.
you might have noticed
There
some
was there
ones.
was one real big one in particular that I was like, oh, they're doing that. Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting. Well, next up, I'm going to talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 5. This series continues to surprise me because you never really know what you're getting when you open this book.
right,
You know, it could be lighthearted, it could be really dark. Well, this one does pick up where the last one left off, where after that big heat wave, it seemed to be all a ploy by this mysterious white Martian that we've never met in the book. We
hmm
never come up against. And still a lot of this book feels very dreamlike. Like how did that even happen? And now in this one, it's been nighttime and they say, oh, it's been a long night, but it actually has maybe been weeks of nighttime. And it's almost like people maybe don't understand, or like there's something about them makes them where they don't realize that.
yeah.
Because it's like, why don't you just like drive out of the cities at night everywhere or whatever? But uh, it does have this very like a bubble of a city weird feeling. And uh, John Jones and the Martian, which aren't in this a ton. Like the Martian doesn't have as much of like funny little
Yeah.
things he does. He's more just kind of following along. They're driving through the city and they see that like a lot of looting has started. Even weird cults have been started
Right.
by teenagers, and they like uh, worship their game controllers and
There's
stuff.
there's one gang in this that reminded me exactly. They look exactly like the gang from Batman Forever, the
The
neon
Neon Gang.
that Dick Grayson goes to fight. It
Yeah.
looks exactly like them.
Yeah, so they're and there's still lights, but like car lights
hmm
and they can burn fires and stuff, but homes don't have lights. Um and but the weird part is it's not only the people, but their shadows that are also doing stuff. And people are like looting with their shadows. Like
Yeah.
they'll be carrying something out of a broken window. The people are one side and their shadows carrying the other side.
Yeah, and I didn't quite understand that. I was like, is this a metaphor for something or is it literally their
Yeah,
shadow?
that's what I mean. It's a little dreamy
Yeah.
because he does reference at one point that kids seem to be playing with their shadows and they have
There's
a
one
better
scene
relationship with their shadows.
Yeah, there's one scene where a kid's shadow is pushing him on a swing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess it's literal, but then
I think
how
it's
did that
literal,
happen?
but I don't know how that's tied in with the Martian and
It's
everything that's
very,
going.
very Peter Pan.
It is
You
very
know
Peter
how his
Pan.
shadow got away?
But it is it's really fun and it visually once again this is phenomenal with all the colors, and even though it's nighttime it almost shows them off even more. But I don't want to mention what happens, but he John Jones does run up against some characters that I'm like, are these characters I should know? uh
Yeah.
or because they're a little bit more colorful, they're a little bit
hmm
more like characters rather than just thugs. And something happens to John Jones, and there is a, like it's happened in previous issues, a kind of a unconscious state that he goes to. But what he sees there, I don't want to give away, but it was for a book that was like going along, it's like this is fun. It feels like a lot of the other issues of Absolute Martian Manhunter, but you hit that and suddenly it makes me ask questions about the entire Absolute universe.
Yeah, there was it's a page turn, and I'm sitting at home by myself reading it earlier today, and I literally turned the page, and once I register what it was, I audibly went,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" Like, oh my god! And I was like looking at it,
Yeah,
and
it really made me slow down and like really try to take in what I was seeing and
yeah,
and thinking about what does this mean.
uh-huh,
It's maybe one of the biggest because this book has felt like maybe a little bit more detached from the
yeah.
Absolute Universe. Something that maybe pulls it back in a little bit more. So It was awesome.
Well, that one page maybe makes this book a little bit even more important to the absolute universe than any other book right
Yeah,
now. So
it could.
maybe I might be wrong about that. But.
Yeah, but once you read it, you'll know what I mean. But this was awesome, and now it's you never know what you're gonna find reading this book, and it has yet to disappoint by the end. So
this is number which one?
5.
5. So this just to let you guys know, so number 6 comes out next month, and then it is taking a bit of a hiatus before it comes back with number 7 later in the fall, and it'll run through issue 12. It got extended to a 12-issue series, but there will be a break between issue 6 and 7. But that's so that they can keep the same creative team. Dennis Camp said we could have gotten a different artist, but this book doesn't exist without Javier Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a break so that he can keep doing it. So
yeah, I wonder if they'll release like a volume 1 during that break or something. That'd be really nice to catch people up.
Probably will.
But after this issue, I feel like after the last couple, I feel like this definitely needs to be longer than 6 issues. If this was 6 issues, I would feel like I was robbed of story.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
it could go after more than 12.
It could go more than 12 easily.
Hopefully by the time we get to 12, they'll be like, hey, it got extended ongoing or whatever. So we'll see.
But just such a great book. Absolute Martian Manhunter, number 5. Don't miss it. We've got our A cover there. We've got our Lee Garbett variant. Very cool. We've got, I love this Francavilla cover. If there had to be another artist, Francavilla would be a pretty cool artist for this. And so would this, I'm not sure what's, this 1 in 25 Riley Rossimo cover. Another great kind of weird artist for this. We're selling this one for $14.99.
And real quick, I just want to shout out. We got a comment on TikTok over here from Trevor. This is hey, this is my favorite comic shop. I drive 3 hours out of the way for it. Cool to see you on TikTok. That's very nice. Thank you very much, Trevor. I appreciate you saying so. We're glad to have you. I hope it's worth the drive. All right, so we're still with DC because again, we told you it was a huge DC week, and we've got Justice League Unlimited number 9. This is from Mark Waid and Dan Mora. So we get a double dose of Dan Mora. It's a double Dan Mora week again. And this issue acts as an epilogue of sorts to the We Are Yesterday crossover that just wrapped up. But just like Superman number 28 that we talked about a little bit ago, this also plants a few seeds for the upcoming DC KO event. And this issue, I did find it a little bit confusing.
It's kind of hectic.
Yeah, there's a lot of jargon, a lot of terminology and things like that. But the overall gist of it is that because of Grodd's use of Omega energy to meddle with time during the We Are Yesterday story, heroes from all different eras are popping in and out of the present. So we get like Batman Beyond is there, and Nightfall Batman is in there, and
Jonah Hex,
and they'll be there, but then they'll disappear. But then another hero from another time will show up, and they're just popping in and out because time, space and time is completely jacked up right now.
It is fun though because it's like a who's who of like, oh, I love that version of that character.
Well, and the best thing about it is like seeing Dan Mora get to draw all these different heroes from all these different eras. So time is completely screwed up, and that's why all this is happening. And the Time Trapper and the World Forger show up in the Watchtower, and we've seen them at the end of the We Are Yesterday crossover, and also I think the last issue of Superman, I believe, number 27.
I mean, Time Trapper has been a big part of the Superman book.
So they show up in the Watchtower to tell the Justice League that the Omega energy that Grodd has been messing with is acting as a cancer of sorts that's eating away at the laws of reality and the flow of time, and that they need to vivisect Grodd before to study the residual Omega energy inside him before all of reality is destroyed. And of course, the Justice League's like, no, we're not going to let you kill a bad guy. There's got to be a better way. But to me, it's like, that seems like a pretty small price to pay just to save all of reality. He's a bad guy anyway, right? But so, of course, they're not going to let anybody get killed. So, of course, all the heroes that are there on the Watchtower get into a big fight with the Time Trapper and the World Forger. And I won't tell you the outcome of that battle, but that is a large part of the issue is this big battle. There's also a B story of Blue Beetle and Mr. Terrific trying to save Airwave because he was like scattered over the airwaves during the last story. But I won't tell you what happens there either. So Still really cool. Like I said, it was a little bit confusing, but when I find books confusing, I just try to understand the larger picture and maybe not like focus on all the details. So it's like there's a lot of talk about energy and temporal this and stuff like that, but on its surface, the Omega energy has caused havoc with time and space, and it's going to mess up all reality. And we know that in the DCKO event, the heroes are going to fight each other to try to build up a bunch of Omega energy to save the future.
Well,
So
I feel like it also, because we know the announcement about the KO event and them building up this Omega energy and stuff, I kind of understand a little bit more. Because it's like, well, is Darkseid around? Is he not? That kind of thing. Why do they have like the Omega symbol on him?
yeah,
I understand more. Like, it's more about the Darkseid energy and
right,
what that
yeah,
does to kind of corrupt everything around
yeah,
it. And so this actually maybe made some of the other stuff make a little bit more sense.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, do we know what the next story arc is?
For Justice League,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I kind of feel. I mean, we're not that far away from October. I feel like Superman and Justice League are going full steam ahead towards the DCKO event.
That's what I was thinking. It was like where this leads off. I mean, I don't know what the Justice League do other than look at each other and be like, "Well, I don't know. What do we do at this point?"
Well, there is that Justice League Dark Tomorrow special
Uh huh.
that has Mr. Terrific, I think, and like the time displaced heroes like Batman Beyond and the Hook Hand Aquaman doing something, and that's going to play into it too. So, but I mean, next month is August. I mean, we only got August and September before we're in the KO event. So
It may be kind of some prelude feeling
yeah, yeah.
issues.
But it all does come together to make a really cool big story. And again, like I said with Superman, you can tell that they've been planning this for a really, really long time because it's not like, oh, this all of a sudden happened. No, like you can. When I read this and when I read Superman, I went on a deep dive and backtracked all the way to the All In special to find out. Oh, okay, that's when Darkseid died, and there's a rift, and there's Omega energy, and then I reread like the Superman All In or the Superman Summer of Superman special, the Superwoman stuff, and I was like, oh, there's little bits and pieces here and there that when put together make this larger picture. So it's really cool. All right, so this is our A cover right there, and we have some cool variants. This is the Massafara variant. This is the really creepy Tiago da Silva variant with like Joker and Martian Manhunter kind of mixed there. That doesn't happen in the book. This is the Derek Chu Gotham City Sirens variant. Here's your that's Quietly, right? Yeah, that's your Frank Quietly Superman movie variant. And then this is the 1 in 25 Malavia variant that we're selling for $11.99.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, and some of the characters that I mean, it's not a spoiler to say that Abin Sur came back in the
Yeah.
last one from being time displaced. Like, I would kind of like some of these characters to stick around for a while. I think it'd be really
Yeah.
cool to see what would happen if they stayed. Okay, so next up, we got a Marvel book. We've got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 8.
We're 32 minutes into this and are only just now talking about something other than DC.
Yeah, like we said, it's a
DC
heavy
week.
DC
Yeah.
week.
And there's more. There's more coming.
So, this is right in the middle of Spider-Man's big fight with Hellgate, which he's still not really sure what Hellgate is all about. Just like we're not
Neither are we,
completely
yeah.
sure. But Spider-Man is kind of doing his thing, trying to lead Hellgate to safer areas, but that's not working because Spider-Man does not have a leg up in this fight. We do get a really interesting kind of flashback to when little Peter was trying to learn karate, but Uncle Ben was trying to teach him boxing and kind of teaching the lesson about when to run and when to fight. And I feel like that's a big part of this story. Now, there's some really interesting, weird stuff that happens in this issue. Like, there is a character, I guess it's a first appearance, at least we get kind of their name like it's a first appearance and everything, of a character who I think is only in 2 panels, walks out of some rubble, says, I'm here to help, I am, and says their name. They're a shield-wielding character. And then Spider-Man's like...
nowhere near as cool as Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that.
And
Yeah.
Spider-Man's like, I don't have time for this right now.
Yeah.
And literally, we don't see that character again. It's a very weird
It's weird.
character popping out of nowhere and then disappearing. The other part in this I did think was really cool is there's 2 pages drawn by Todd Knock. The rest of the book is John Romita Jr. These Todd Knock pages are about Mary Jane and Dylan Brock and Paul.
Unfortunately, Paul is in this. So.
But what I did love in this is that Mary Jane does seem to be concerned about Peter and what's going on, and maybe that's going to lead into was it the next issue where it says that she learns the truth,
he learns the truth.
He learns the truth
that's
about
the next
her.
issue. Yeah.
So that could be really cool.
So it just there is the parental advisory warning. This does feature Paul a little bit.
Yeah,
so be careful.
Yeah, he's you don't have to look at him if you don't want
to.
But more over the top action. Spider-Man getting his butt kicked in this, and there's maybe we learn a little bit more about what Hellgate's task is.
Right.
Right at the end that I think is interesting.
I did think that was pretty interesting. I want to know more about that. Yeah.
This is I feel like, because you got Romita Jr. on here, you really want to draw out the fights because that's what he does so well. But story-wise, we haven't made too many big steps forward until right at the end of this one. I feel like we did take a pretty decent step.
Yeah, I do appreciate having a comic book that's full of action. That's what comic books should be, right?
Yeah.
Or at least superhero comics. So I appreciate that. But it's been 2 full issues of Spider-Man just getting his butt kicked. And it's like, all right, I need to know, this is fun, but I need to know, what the heck's going on, right?
Yeah, and, what's going to happen next? We don't know.
Yeah.
But very interesting. This is your A cover by Romita Jr. Spider-Man does get his axe for a second. It doesn't go well.
Oh, right,
but he does get the axe for a second. We also have this Daycall variant, which Black Cat does not appear in this issue.
She ran, didn't she?
Yeah, she got left in the dust. We've got this Delato cover.
That's
very cool.
That's the one I pre-ordered. Yeah.
We've got this very nice Dan Panosian cover. And I love this one because I love Ramos drawing Spider-Man. This is the 1 in 25 Humberto Ramos variant. We're selling for $11.99.
All right, well, I've got Godzilla #1. This is written by Tim Seeley. The art is by Nicholas Ismeja. And this is the first issue of the first book in the new Godzilla connected universe of books that IDW is doing, along with Escape the Dead Zone and Starship Godzilla. Those haven't come out yet. But the first part of this, if you got that Godzilla sampler book on free comic book day, the pages that are in that relate to this, they're in here, but with a lot more story too. So and if you didn't read that, this series in particular focuses on a team called G-Force, but it's not the team it's not Gatchaman. It's a different G-Force. But they're made up of 6 individuals, each with their own specialty in fighting kaiju. And the newest member is a young man named Jason Braid, and he has the ability to wield what they call Kai-Sei energy, which I forget what they say that means. I think that just means like kaiju energy, basically. Yeah. And he has the ability to wield that, and that basically makes him as powerful as Godzilla. But he's just like a dude. He's not like a giant kaiju. So imagine the power of Godzilla in a person.
I think they mentioned he punched the leg of Godzilla, and Godzilla noticed.
Godzilla, they said, I've never seen shock in Godzilla's eyes before. It does show him. I think it was actually part of the free comic book day, but
I think it is.
It shows him taking he takes a direct blast of Godzilla's atomic breath and just kind of walks away from it, So he's he's the newest part of the team. And the rest of them, like I said, they each have their specialty. It's kind of like, if you guys are familiar with Kaiju #8, the anime and the manga, how they have special suits that make them stronger. This is kind of sort of like that. There's one that's an ammunitions expert. There's one that's an explosive expert. There's another character who's probably your second main character. And I won't tell you what, she has something special and unique about her, but I'll let you find that out for yourself because it plays into the story. So we got the team together. We get a sequence of them training with each other before they have to go out and deal with a kaiju, the kaiju Anguirus. That's right. And that kaiju is trampling the eastern coast of Florida. So they have to fly down there and fight that kaiju. And it's a big, cool battle. There's lots of action. Each member of the team kind of like does their specialty, and then it has a very, very interesting ending, and it sets up this big mystery that I think I've never really seen something like this in a Godzilla story before. And I just thought it was really cool. Like I really liked it a lot because like most Godzilla stories have Godzilla fighting another big kaiju or fighting the military or something like that. But in this one, Godzilla is kind of sort of fighting like six almost like superpowered individuals, which we actually are getting a little bit of that right now in the Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. But this is just kind of different than that, right? So I just thought it was really cool. I like the very, very end. I want to see where that goes because it's like, whoa, what is this and where is this going? Uh, I just think it's neat. So I'm definitely going to keep reading this for sure. And if you're a Godzilla fan, then and that you might like this too. I think it's really cool. So there's our A cover right here, and we have this Art Adams cover.
Yeah.
That's really cool. We have a blank sketch variant, and we have a foil version of the A cover, which looks really cool.
Yeah, it's cool to for once have a Godzilla shared universe
Yeah.
that not that like some of the Godzilla movies aren't connected, but this one, has more elements than just Godzilla.
Yeah, right. And they even mentioned there's a couple times where they mention the Dead Zone,
Yeah.
which is where a whole other series takes place, and like it's really cool. They're off to a good start.
Well, next up, I've got Star Wars Dr. Aphra #2, and this one's really unique because this kind of wraps up the first story. It's just a kind of a setup in the issue 1 and then payoff in issue 2 as Luke and Aphra are now on a mission for a more seedier, shadowy side of the New Republic. Ones that have to do stuff that maybe is not it's important, but not the best PR thing to do. And they are on a task to find this artifact. It's a gauntlet. They explained in the previous issue. And they're heading to a planet called Argau, I think, Aargau, where Aphra thinks no one's going to help them. This is like a really ritzy planet, a city planet. And, she's like, everybody's just going to be about their own business. And we're going to have to, sneak around and all of that. When they get there, they realize everyone loves Luke. Everybody knows who he is. They know he's Jedi Knight Luke. People are like, please come into my building and all this stuff. So I do think that's cool. This is the first time I think we've really seen Luke in something be a celebrity because this is after Return of the Jedi, and people have learned that he is responsible for defeating Darth Vader and taking down the Empire. So he is very well respected and everything.
How far after Return of the Jedi? Is it pretty soon after, or
Yeah,
has it been a while?
It's not too far.
Okay.
It's probably, I think it's maybe a year and a half after, because we had those miniseries that took place in the year after.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
This takes place after that. So
was that the series that was 3-4 issue thing? Okay, that's right.
So yeah, this takes place pretty, the dust of the second Death Star is probably not completely blown away. So that's really cool. But of course, there's still some crime going on, and everyone's willing to help up into a point when they fear that there's a casino being run, and there's some people who they don't want to give up too much information. They say this planet, when you have everything, when you're rich, what is the main currency? It's secrets. And so they have to find a way to locate the person who may now be in possession of this gauntlet. You'll have to read to find out, but that story is wrapped up in this issue. And since this is kind of going to be a series about Aphra working for the New Republic, being kind of a fetch quest type thing, the next issue is going to see Aphra teamed up with another character that I'm very excited about. One that, because of how the movies fell, we didn't actually see her interact with too much. So this is going to be really, really fun, and I really like this. I think this is a great series.
So Aphra is working for the New Republic, but because I don't know much about her, but you said she is kind of like a little shady. Is she still? Is she like 100% like goody two shoes now?
No,
or is she
she's
still
definitely
like
I almost would say the last one, they're like, she got arrested so many times, they bailed her out and said, but now you have to help us.
Okay.
And so she was known, the other part of this is she's known for her tattoos. They're like tech tattoos. She can
Yeah.
hack into stuff with them. The New Republic cut those off.
Oh.
And now they're like, if you want them back on, you got to work for us.
Okay.
So
So she's almost reluctantly working.
Yeah, and she does kind of have to debate, like, am I just going to take off running or am I going to stick around?
Okay. So she's not 100% like, no. I'm super good now.
No, she's in it for her own best interest.
Okay,
but,
cool.
you know, like Han, she deep down has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
So this was great. This is maybe my second or third favorite Star Wars book out right now.
Nice.
It's really fun. And only 2 issues so far. So
I like that cover.
Yeah, here is your A cover.
Who's the artist on it?
This is Guzman.
Okay.
They draw a very Mark Hamill looking
nice.
Luke. It was very cool. We've got this Savage cover, which Aphra does kind of gamble in this, and it's very cool because, of course, when they gamble, it's done less with the cards and stuff and more with how they interact with each other. And we have this Wu variant as well. Oh, and we also have a really cool incentive. This is the Yagawa variant. This is something for $29.99. That's another artist I'd love to see on this book because it kind of has a little bit of an anime.
Does Luke fight anybody with his lightsaber?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd even think a limb might get cut off.
Oh,
if
well,
I
of course. It's not Star Wars without that, right? All right, so I've got a new book from Mad Cave. This is called Look Into My Eyes. This is the first issue of what I believe is a 5-issue miniseries. This is written and drawn by Ruben Kubels. And this story is about a high school girl named Susie who goes missing at a party one night, and her friend RJ is determined to find out what happened to her. So that sounds like a pretty simple story, right? Oh, it's a missing person and the friend's going to find her, right? But it's actually a lot more complex than that. So the whole thing takes place in the town of Cravenwood, which actually looks like it's on an island. There's like this zoomed out shot, and it looks like they're on an island and the town's kind of in the front. And all of the kids in that town have become obsessed with a new social media app called Knock Knock. And it's created by this company called Canon Corp. And this first issue sets up this mystery and introduces us to the main characters. But what's really cool about this book is that there are 3 QR codes spread throughout the book that you can scan with your phone, and it gives you supplemental information that helps you to become more immersed in this world, in this story, and actually might even give you clues to help you figure out what happened to Susie. So, for example, one of them is that RJ starts a podcast. She originally creates like she does her own like fanzine where she talks about like true crime and stuff, but something happens and she can't afford to make those because it costs money to print stuff. So instead she starts a podcast and she uploads the podcast to the Knock Knock app. And there's a page where you can see her saying, okay, all done, upload, and it shows like the bar going across 20, 40, 80%. And then when it says 100%, when you see the status bar 100%, there's a QR code next to it, and you can scan it with your phone to listen to the first episode of the podcast. Although it's not audio, it's presented on your phone as a vertically scrolling comic.
Oh.
So it's like you're listening to a podcast, but you're actually seeing it instead. And it's really cool because it actually shows you the moments leading up to Susie's disappearance at the party, which you don't see that in the main book. So it's really cool. There's 2 other QR codes that you can scan. One of them actually takes you to a website that is all about the Knock Knock app, and it's like Knock Knock brings you closer together, and you can tap a button to do a trial run of it. And I mean, it's all on a website, you know, but like you can actually scroll through the social media profiles of some of the main characters in this story and see like the pictures they were posting and stuff. So it's actually really cool that way. You don't have to scan those if you don't want to, but it just like gives you extra, it gives you a little bit more. And you know, and I was like looking through the posts for a while, trying to read some of them, like let's see where this character was, you know, and you know what pictures they're posting and things like that. So it's really cool. And on top of all that, there actually seems to be a supernatural element to this story. There's some really weird stuff that happens in the first couple of pages that you kind of have to see for yourself to understand. But there's also like this like black goo all over town that
Hmm.
I don't know what it is, but it does seem like there's something there. And there's like these little voices that keep popping up. So it seems like there's a little something supernatural as well, but we'll have to see what that is. So just a really cool mystery, a really cool, like, kind of interactive book. And it's really cool. Like, I want to find out what the heck happened to Susie because I don't know. Like, there's all kinds of weirdness about her, and yeah, it's really really neat. So I recommend it if you're looking for something different. So that's the first issue, and it's the only cover we have.
Next up, back to Marvel, we have Emma Frost, White Queen #2. I really liked issue #1 of this. This is one of their Marvel retro series that takes place at a particular time frame in their past, elaborating and adding in an extra little story. And this one takes place sometime after X-Men 138, which it might have said in the previous issue, but I missed. And I need to see when that is, but it's
Yeah.
not too far into, the after X-Men restarted after Giant Size and all of that.
Yeah, I mean that was X-Men '94
Yeah.
was after Giant Size. So yeah, it's only a couple of years in.
Yeah, so it's still, I mean, this is some prime X-Men time. It's really cool. In the last one, there was this party for the Hellfire Club, and apparently, it was a pretty hush hush thing, and a young mutant broke into it, kind of a teleporting mutant. And then right behind him came the X-Men looking for that, and they managed to liberate that kid from the clutches of the Hellfire Club. But makes Emma Frost think, hey, someone gave away our location and about us. I must have a mole among these key players in the Hellfire Club. And so now she is going to go on the hunt to try to find out who gave away all of this. And she does have a hunch. There's a clue. It has to do with like some security footage and everything about one of the members. And so she goes to Rome in Italy to question this individual, and they happen to be under the Colosseum where the Hellfire Club has the Hellfire Fight Club. And that is really interesting when you see who's involved in there and everything. But I don't want to give away too much. You do kind of find out in the end maybe a little bit more about what's happening and who may be behind
I
it.
thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is very Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
It all fits with how this whole place is structured.
So is that character the mole? Do we think?
I think so.
It would be weird for them not to be.
Yeah, to be just another.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you got two moles actually. Yeah.
But you'll have to read it to find out. But this was really fun. The art's great in this.
Yeah, I like the artwork.
And this is such a warm spot in my heart for this era of X-Men.
And I like Emma Frost, and
Yeah.
I like how she just sort of does her own thing, and yeah, she's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, very powerful main character, even before she has the ability to turn into Diamond. But this is your A cover by David Nakayama. And we also have this really nice Jenny Frison cover. That feels more like new X-Men version of Emma Frost. We've got a Fong variant. And we have a I think this is a 1 in 25 Savage variant. We're selling for $24.99.
All right, we're going back to DC because I've got Absolute Wonder Woman #10, and in this one, Wonder Woman continues to fight her way through the maze that she entered last issue. She was looking for an Amazon, and she didn't find one, but she did find a young girl named Petra and another large Minotaur-type creature. I don't remember the name. Did he have a name? Wasn't it Peter?
No, it's a cow name. It's like
bovine.
it's like it starts with a B.
Yeah.
Ferdinand or Bernard or something like that.
So that and so last issue that Minotaur actually helped her fight her way through the maze, and so she's going to great lengths to get this young girl out. So Petra's a young girl, so she's trying to get her out of the maze. And I don't want to say what happens, but she is definitely not done in that maze. And she finds even more horrors in there than what she expected. And what's really cool is we do get a sequence of a young Diana growing up in hell, facing off against this panther-like god, and it's a great example of her kindness and compassion. And it just goes to show, they ask like, why is this young girl being trained to be a weapon when she's so kind? And there's actually a reason for that.
Mhm.
So the flashbacks of young Diana throughout this whole series have been really cool. So just another really great issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, and this story arc is not done. Like I said, she's going further into that maze where more horrors await. So really, really cool stuff. So there's our A cover right there. We have this really nice. Is that? This is an Anka variant, Chris Anka, with her big sword, which she still hasn't used again.
Mhm.
This is the
Asrar.
Mupan Asrar variant, and this is the 1 in 25 Terso variant that we're selling for $14.99. I want to see that big sword again. She probably doesn't have room for it in the maze right
that's her
now.
saying
But
you swing it and
yeah,
you knock it out of your hands. Next up, I have a new book from Image. This is The Voice Said Kill #1. This is by Cy Spurrier and the art is by Vanessa Del Rey. Visually, this comic is very interesting. Vanessa Del Rey has a very unique style. It's very scratchy, but it works because this is set in the kind of the bayou. I think it's in Louisiana, and it's very dense with foliage and shadows and everything. This is described as a Cajun crime thriller in 4 supersized chapters. Um, and yeah, this is oversized, and it does give the book a little bit more time to breathe. It gave me vibes of a very like crime book like Southern Bastards by Jason Aaron or 100 Bullets or something
yeah.
like that. Um, what is a little hard in this is Sliceberry writes it uh, phonetically, so people speak with the heavy Cajun accent, and along with the reading, you kind of have to decipher what they're saying, which kind of throws a little, slowdown in your reading. But this follows Marie uh, Bargao, I guess, uh, and she's a park ranger. She's very pregnant. She's due anytime. A lot of the other park rangers that work at this park right on the edge of the bayou have gotten sick or left or whatever, which seems like maybe that's going to be a bigger part of this. Um, but it does seem like a lot of crime happens in this park, and they kind of just turn a blind eye to it. There's like moonshiners and smugglers and that kind of stuff. And one of these moonshiners, her kid, she says, is off his medicine and didn't come home the previous night. And she's like the moonshine queen. Like she stays in this trailer and she's kind of almost a Jabba the Hutt type character. Um,
Does she speak like Jabba the Hutt?
no, but
Missed opportunity.
That would be fun. And she calls on Marie to help find this person because basically, the criminals have more sway in here than the park rangers and everything. And says he's probably out there in the swamp somewhere, and she needs to go find him. But he has definitely got some issues because he has now become, if you can see a little bit on here, uh uh I forgot what he calls it. Oh, I think he calls himself the skunk ape, or he's looking for the skunk ape, and he is naked, covered in leaves, and just a big danger now.
Mm.
So you'll have to read it if you like that kind of crime set in a very interesting location. But like I said, this is a not an easy read. I really had to work my way through it. But if you like this kind of genre, I think you will definitely like it. And this is the only cover I have.
All right, next I've got a new book from Dark Horse. I believe this is a 4-issue miniseries. This is called TexArcanum. It's written by Christopher Monfett. The art is by Miguel Marcos, and this is about a man named Avery Bell, and he is kind of like a Midwestern John Constantine. I don't think it's too far off base to make that comparison. He's a loner who is very knowledgeable about all things supernatural, and he is called to a small town named Odette to investigate what looks like a plague that has ravaged the town. There's people are like sick or worse, just like laying in the streets. Like it's a hot mess down there. And he determines that the source of this plague or whatever it is comes from the well that supplies the town with water. But the real question is, what feeds that well? So he and the sheriff that called him, they travel up the river to try to find the source of the problem. And you'll have to read the book for yourself to see what they find. But let's just say there definitely are some supernatural elements of this for sure. And this story, this particular issue, is a one and done story, but there are hints at a larger story to come. It's I don't it seems like he's going to travel to each town, like solving these like supernatural mysteries. But there does seem like there might be an overarching thing as well. But yeah, he's got this cool like little like mat that he rolls out, and he's got all these like tools, but it's like all these different supernatural tools. And I think it's one of those things like, it looks like it's only so big, but then he can roll it out as far as he needs to, and there's just all kinds of stuff because again, magic and things like that. So very cool supernatural type stuff. He's casting spells and things like that. So I mean, honestly, think John Constantine, but in the Midwest, wearing a cowboy hat. Like that's a lot of like what this is, and it was pretty neat. So this is the A cover, and it's the only one we have.
Well, next up, one of my favorite series, Six Gun Battle for the Six, #1. This is the grand return of Six Gun by its original creative team, Cullen Bunn, Brian Hurt, colors by Bill Crabtree. And yeah, this is a kind of sequel series to the original. I forgot how many issues the original one ran, but it was quite a while.
Three compendiums worth.
Yeah, this does give you the kind of backstory loosely of that original series, and then there was a mini series followed that up that it also kind of touches on. It doesn't give away too many spoilers about that, but in this one there is a new host of characters, kind of a bigger group than what we had in the original. They formed this cabal because they're trying to prevent, or at least the six, which in Six Gun are guns, but throughout time they've come back as different things, different weapons, all of that. They are there to try to keep them from falling in the wrong hands. And these this cabal of characters are very colorful. They all have their own little quirks to them. They all have different jobs and stuff that are really fun. But of course, there are going to be some bad guys who come along that try to get that in whatever form these six are going to reveal themselves as. I'll say this has way more like monsters and that kind of stuff than the original one started out with. It kind of had more ghosts and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
This one, they're going to Easter Island. There's giants. There's a bunch of really cool stuff. So keeping up that kind of high excitement and everything. There's some nods to the original series that were really fun. And yeah, this is only 3 issues long. I don't know what we'll get after that, but at least for now, this is really, really cool. And this is the only cover.
All right, well, real quick, I just want to talk about Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu #10, or Legacy #250. This isn't a good jumping on point for this book because it's actually kind of sort of the end of this story they've been telling since this run started. But there's more to come, but it's like just this first story has ended up. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is Marvel's most underrated book. Everybody should be reading this. Every issue's been awesome, action packed. Moon Knight and all his crew are so cool. So this is the final showdown, at least for now, between Moon Knight and Fairchild, who has been kind of like the big antagonist throughout this series so far. Fairchild has hired some of Moon Knight's rogues gallery to deal with him because Moon Knight is coming to Fairchild's base or his hideout to take him out. So he hired some of Moon Knight's rogues gallery, but Moon Knight brought his crew with him as well, and they all kind of pair off in these epic fights. And it's kind of like running a gauntlet, and like Hunter's Moon will be like, "Don't, Moon Knight, you keep going. I'll take care of this guy." And then they find another bad guy. And Tiger's like, "I'll take care of this guy. You keep going." And it's kind of like that. So you get all these fights between all these different characters. It's awesome. The artwork is awesome. It's super action packed. I love every character of Moon Knight's crew. Even 8-Ball gets some cool moments in this. Hunter's Moon has some really savage one-liners. Tigra is the coolest I've ever seen her be in any book. Like, Moon Knight is so good. And just because this first kind of story arc is over, there's still a lot more story to come with the way that it ended. So jump on Moon Knight. It's really good. Lots of great action. Like the writing is really good. Like everything about it is awesome. So I just wanted to like sing its praises because it's awesome. So there's our A cover right there. And we have a really cool Stephen Platt cover. Remember when he had an awesome run on Moon Knight? He's back for some covers.
Next up, I want to briefly mention that finally Thundercats Powerpuff Girls #1 has come out. This was long delayed because it was, originally with, well, Dynamite was through Diamond, and then with all their issues, it got postponed, and now it is finally out. This is by Paulina Ganichow, and the art is by Coleman Ingle. And this is really cool because if you've read the Free Comic Book Day book, this does not contain that. This takes place. They basically summarized the Free Comic Book Day book in one page, but it was a decent start to this. So I would actually recommend reading that and then going into this. Not a whole lot to say other than the team has the Powerpuff Girls have teamed up with Tigra, and they're going to help the Barbles. Do you remember them in Thundercats? The little robotic koalas.
Yes, I do remember those. Yeah.
So they're gonna help them because something has made the Barbles not cute little things, but they've kind of turned sinister and very rude. Uh, and yeah, it's really fun. There's the mystery of where is Lion-O and the rest of the Thundercats. A little bit of that is teased, but yeah, this is a really fun Powerpuff Girls book and a good Thundercats book. So really recommend this if you like either of those properties. We've got our A cover right here. And we also have this Baldari variant. And I'm not sure what the ratio is, but we've got this Baldari Virgin cover for $14.99.
Well, I've got Green Lantern #25, and it's been a little bit since we talked about Green Lantern, but wanted to talk about this issue because this is the start of the big crossover between this book and the Green Lantern Corps called the Starbreaker Supremacy. It all starts right here. I mean, it's been building to this for a while, but this is the big kickoff. And the Green Lanterns have rebuilt the central power batteries for the rest of the emotional spectrum, but now they have to charge them up. And they're actually, I won't tell you how they built them, but you'll see in the beginning of the book, like the way they built them is really cool. So Hal and Guy and Kilowog and Star Sapphire go to Gem World where they meet up with Amethyst because they need to get these special gems that can amplify any energy that's aimed at them. And their plan is to have Kyle use his White Lantern powers to kind of like shoot them through the gems, which is going to amplify them, and then they can like charge up all the different the brand new power batteries that they built. But Starbreaker, well, he's not on the cover. Starbreaker, who is the sort of the main villain, he has built a lantern of his own, and he also travels to Gem World to get these gems because he wants to do the same thing with his own lantern. So there is a big battle on Gem World that is awesome. I don't want to spoil it, but it does involve a big purple dragon, which is really, really cool. It's a very, very cool fight in perfect Green Lantern fashion with all a bunch of constructs and everything. And then from there, it's just a race to see who can charge their power batteries first. And it's a very interesting ending that really makes me excited for the next part because I want to see how they do what they've set up to do. So just wanted to tell you about the Green Lantern is still awesome, and brand new story arc starts right here. So this is our A cover. This is the LaRocca variant. This is our Parator variant. This is our White Lantern variant. It's so bright, it's just white. This is really cool. So this is from Steven Subic, and this is the glow in the dark foil variant. So you can't really tell that it's foil.
I don't know how foil it is.
I mean, that's what it says. It says it right there, glow in the dark foil. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of. I guess it's kind of foil. It's more glow in the dark than foil. But I'd like to see that lit up. And then we have our 1 in 25 Chris Campagna variant that we're selling for $19.99. There's Starbreaker right there. Very fun issue of Green Lantern.
Real quick, gonna mention Exquisite Corpses. Issue #3 is out. Not a whole lot to say because a lot of this is just more of the same of the different slashers in this town. Mostly focusing on Nurse Pete, who we saw him kind of set up in the previous issue. People are slowly realizing something is wrong in the town. You know, it's more bodies are being discovered and everything. And there is a major attack on a hospital by Nurse Pete that may send the family or the representative from Virginia shooting up the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have to read it to find out. But yeah, continues building up your characters and your world in this one with just as squeamish moments as possible. So
Continues whittling down that bracket at the end of the book.
yeah.
You know, it's getting more narrow.
So here is your A cover. We've got this De Landro variant. And this was the Tyler Crook variant. We also have a couple of incentives. This is the 1 in 25 Ortiz variant. We're selling for $19.99. And we've got a 1 in 50 Joshua Hickson variant. We're selling for $49.99.
All right, well, we are only a few days away from the Fantastic Four movie, so I wanted to talk about Fantastic Four Fanfare number 3 just real quick. There's only one more issue to go in this series, and just like the other two, this has 3 different short one-and-done stories in it, and they all focus on Ben Grimm. The first one's called Fight or Flight. It's from Dan Slott and Marcos Martin, and it's a brief glimpse at Ben's life from his childhood to the Fantastic Four's first fight with the Mole Man and beyond, and it's just all focused on Ben. There is another story called Another Round from Tom DeFalco and Ron Franz. Like that's a dream team from the 90s right there. And in this one, Ben and Sandman, Flint Marko, they save a mother and son who are trapped in a collapsed mine shaft. And then the third story is called Universal Appeal. This is from Chip Zdarsky and Mike Allred. And in this one, Johnny is awarded the Universe Magazine's Sexiest Man in the Universe Award. And Ben has to go with him to up into space. It's like on a planet or an asteroid or something to the photo shoot, but things aren't exactly what they seem when they get there. And of course, Johnny's in that one, and him being the universe's sexiest man, he's very humble about that for sure, right? So just 3 more really fun, one and done Fantastic Four stories. So there's your A cover from Marco Cicchetto, and then we have the Baldari variant.
Real quick, just want to mention the next issue number 2 of Jeff the Landshark is out. This one's just a fun issue that primarily sees Jeff teamed up with Rocket and Groot, which I feel like we haven't seen, some of the Guardians in a long time, so that was really fun. And I just have the 1 cover.
I've got Gwenpool number 3, and in this one, Kate Bishop and Peter attend Gwenpool's funeral because she was killed at the end of last issue. And the other Gwen, the mystery Gwen, she is also at the graveyard, but she's staring at her own grave. And Peter tries to talk to her to try to figure out what the heck is going on because we still don't know. But it leads to another fight. And what you see on the cover here, especially with Gwenpool's spirit kind of in the background, this actually kind of does happen in the book. And I have a note that says we still don't really get any answers as to what's going on. I'm still not convinced that this is the actual Gwen Stacy, but I don't know. We'll see. The series isn't over, so who knows?
It's a pretty fun issue just because I like Peter Parker in this one quite a bit.
Yeah. So that's our A cover right there. And we have our Darbo variant.
Just want to mention real briefly that Void Rivals number 21 is out. And we finally checked back in with Hot Rod. Which is always a pleasure.
My favorite.
See what Hot Rod's up to. Plus, there's a big attack by the Zertonians. So, if you've been enjoying Void Rivals, check out issue 21. We're getting very close to issue 25, which is going to be very big. So, yeah, ever creeping closer to that, and just the 1 cover.
I've got Mr. Terrific Year 1, number 3, because we're all still riding high on Mr. Terrific from the awesome Superman movie. And in this one, Mr. Terrific breaks into Athena Prescott's company to try to sabotage the Nexus engine, which has kind of been his whole goal from the beginning. But things don't go as planned because, don't forget, he's a brand new hero in this. So he's not quite as good as he will be later in this yet. So another cool issue. And this is our A cover. And we have this Raja variant right here.
And lastly, for me, just want to mention that Spawn Universe Curse of Shirley Johnson #2 is out. This one is really fun. Not a whole lot to say about it. It's still great art, full of action, and I feel like it's maybe looks the closest to the original Spawn comics, at least when Capullo was on board with Jonathan Glapian's art in here. Really fun, way over the top, fun monsters, that kind of stuff. So if you enjoyed the first issue, don't miss issue #2. We've got an A cover and a very creepy Dan Panosian cover. And yeah, at the end of this, I'm definitely interested to see what happens because some changes happen in this.
My last one is Spider-Verse versus Venomverse #3, and this just features more Spider-Man fighting symbiotes as the last two have been. They do reach the final stage and are told that the last team with a conscious team member will be the winner. And there's no more time limit. There's no more traversing, trying to touch a goal. It's just like winner take all at this point, basically. The Japanese Spider-Man does join the Spiders, and he does get this cool new suit, which I really, really like. And we do learn, the mysterious member of the symbiotes that we saw in the first issue, the one that just looked like a regular guy in a trench coat, he wasn't like all venomed out. We learn who he is, and it's really cool. And I would like to see more of that character. Yeah. So there's our A cover right there. I really like that suit a lot. And we have this Inhyuk Lee variant. There's been several of these that kind of look like a statue. I would like a statue of that.
Yeah.
And this is our one. This is our 1 in 25, and I don't have the artist on this one. But yeah, dude, the Basil Dua variant. We're selling that one for $24.99.
Well, like we said, it was a pretty big week. Heavy DC week, but there is some other Marvel and other #1s from different companies that you don't want to miss out on, knocking things over. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now where you can order these books while supplies last. I know some of these variants we talked about, we only had 1 or 2 of, so go ahead, get your orders in because don't just think they will be there on Wednesday. So whether you shop online at infinityflux.net or come into the store, we welcome you. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. And until next time, see ya.